Okay, good morning. It's 9 o'clock, September 8th, and we are here for a special meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. We have 4 items on our agenda for new business, and we'll go right into the first, which is a discussion and consideration for a land use application. I believe it was, well, can you remind me the file?
Sure, 2318.
2318, file 2318. Conditional use permit for auto repair shop, and this is following a public hearing, joint public hearing with the Planning Commission and the Board of Commissioners on August 14th, and we have Ann Schneider here with us for Community Planning and Development.
Great. Thank you so much. This morning I have a recommendation back from the Planning Commission on the meeting from August 14th. There was a unanimously approved motion with 4 members in favor. The motion was made by Abby Dahlman and seconded by Joey Edwards. That motion read as, they move that the Planning Commission recommend approval of file number 23-18-1890 County Road 8 Auto Repair CUP to the Board of County Commissioners with the following conditions. Number 1, that all statements and representations made by the applicant in its application and in hearing shall be binding and considered as conditions of approval. Number 2, the use shall remain in compliance with the Lake County Land Development Code, Section 5.2.9 Industrial Performance Standards. Number 3, the use shall remain consistent with the Land Development Code, Section 9.6.7 Vehicle Repair subsection or subcategory commercial. Number 4, prior to operations, the applicant is required to have a change of occupancy inspection to determine the compliance with Lake County Resolution 2213 and shall comply with any subsequent conditions as a result of this inspection. Number 5, prior to operations, Leadville Lake County Fire Rescue shall conduct a walkthrough of the property. The applicant will be responsible for any requirements and/or recommendations made as a result. Number 6, a 24-hour emergency contact information shall be distributed to CPD, Leadville Lake County Fire Rescue, the Office of Emergency Management, and the Sheriff's Office. Number 7, site obscuring fencing shall be installed if more than 10 vehicles are stored on site or if the storage is readily visible from the road. Number 8, the operation will properly manage and dispose of products and materials associated with the business. And number 9, the applicants will refer to the Lake County Land Development Code and apply for any applicable sign permits required for the use. And they further found that the approval criteria pursuant to the Lake County Land Development Code, Section 3.6.1F, had been met as evidenced in the staff report dated August 14, 2023 for this file. And the staff report is being provided today as part of the record to perfect the final outcome of the file. So just happy to answer any questions that you may have on the recommendation or on the file itself. No.
I did not have any questions. They all seemed straightforward and appropriate.
Okay.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone want to take a stab at a motion?
Sure.
Did you want me to read the statement of motion into the?
You can just say make a motion
As
to
read,
approve.
as read, okay. So I will make a motion that we approve file number 23-18 as read into the record.
A second?
Okay, any further discussion?
None for me, thank you.
None for me?
Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
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 And there's all the docs for recording. Yeah, we are.
Thanks, Anne.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, item number 2, discussion of a letter of support for B1 Energy, a rural scale recycling and waste diversion startup company for use in grant funding and project finance applications requested for a recycling project to expand recycling services in Lake County in the future. And Commissioner Fiedler will give us background there.
Yeah, and I sorry for not getting it done earlier in the week. I emailed to the BOCC room email. Should be in the packet too. Where?
Down the bottom there, yeah, left of Firefox. Oh, never mind.
If you scoot the box over just a little bit, there's a close.
Yeah. Ooh,
Or are you looking for the one you drafted?
yeah,
I can put that in there, no, I can't.
well, yeah, so it's super simple, and again, it's just a letter of support for this company, this organization's attempt to seek grant funding and other investment funding. So B1 Energy is based in Chaffey County. They've been working with Chaffey County government, particularly their landfill, and what they're trying to do is address the problems that a lot of small communities and especially rural communities have with recycling and waste diversion programs. I mean, as we've talked about, like, just we have the roll-offs and people can drop recycling off, but it's often contaminated, improperly sorted, and it's hard to get the education out, and it has real costs for us, in terms of staff time, either having to take all the time to try to sort it, but then dump it in the landfill anyway, or we truck it down to our purchasers and they reject it because of contamination, we have to truck it back.
Or pay for it to be done
And pay
somewhere
for it,
else.
and then, or pay for it to be dumped there, or truck it back and dump it. So what these guys are trying to do is, and then currently commercially available sorting facilities or materials recovery facilities just aren't small enough for us. So these guys are trying to develop a smaller, more modular system. So they're looking at two approaches, initially trying to get it into that containerized trailerable size. So they could go between Chaffey and Lake and maybe other rural counties with a trailerable sorting facility. And that would allow us to collect single stream recycling and not impose the education and sorting burden on residents, but just do it in a controlled manner. And then eventually they want to install more of a fixed facility, again, that would take single streams. And in addition to separating what we currently sort with recycling, they would also work on diverting the organic waste stream and develop either a compost product or a biogas product. And that biogas could be used to power the facility itself. So, again, it's still a new technology they're working with, but this is just a letter of support for them to get. There's some state grants for new technologies like this, and there are private investment that they've been going after to develop their first, they're at the phase of actually trying to build their first facility that would be initially based in Chaffey, but they've talked to our landfill, they have our data, they've talked with C4 about like our current recycling attempts, so they have a pretty good sense of like the challenges we have and the volumes and type of material we have. So, they've been good about engaging with us. So anyway, it's a pretty generic letter of support that I drafted, sort of said what I just said, the challenges we face, and B1 is specifically trying to address that, smaller rural scale unit that isn't currently available commercially. And it's not, it's not a letter of intent, it's a letter of support, so there's no commitment to use or buy anything they manage to cook up. But I do think, they're based in Chaffey, they've been working with us on understanding our needs, so I think it's pretty cool that there's a company that has been trying to fix some of our problems based right here. Sort of right here.
Yeah, no, looks great. Yeah, yet to be seen, and I wonder if like we kind of chatted briefly at the end of our last meeting on single stream or whatnot,
Yeah.
and I just, remains to be seen, but I wonder, it seems like there's definitely progression and phasing into if this is working, whether that would be collecting single stream or we continue to separate at the landfill for ease and keep habits up but yeah, it'd be interesting to see what productivity that little, or a trailer,
Yeah,
right? Trailer
yeah.
size, could provide for us. It's great.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't do anything other than stumble into a presentation they were giving at Earth Day in Salida. And put them in touch with Michael and the landfill folks in C4, so.
Excellent. I don't have any questions for you.
Okay,
Happy to throw it on letterhead and
yeah,
I can sign it or you can sign it.
yeah,
Whatever.
I think I put you as chair.
Okay,
Sorry, wrong computer.
great.
Yeah, I don't know if you wanna take a second to read it. I mean,
It did, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, okay. Great.
Thank you. You wanna
I can make a
make a
motion.
motion, please?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we move forward and approve the B1 Energy letter of support.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
None for me, thank you.
Hearing none, all of those in favor? Aye.
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 Great. Thank you, Commissioner. All right, and number 3, moving on, we have discussion and consideration of additional full-time equivalent employee for the clerk and recorder office with salary range of $40,000 to $45,000 with an estimated $8,600 in fringe benefits. Jeff, this is for you, and that's led by our clerk, Tracy Lauritsen.
So, when I started, we were down a full-time position, and in conference with our deputy, I thought that we could get by with a part-time person. But at that time, we had an experienced employee, and unfortunately, she left to be a stay-at-home mom. And we have 2 new employees who are slowly ramping up. I won't say anything bad about the Department of Revenue, but their training program leaves a lot to be desired. Anyway, we did put out the job as a part-time job, and I got terrible responses. I mean, people who weren't even qualified, had no computer experience. We have 4 elections coming up in the next year. And if our deputy recorder goes on vacation, we all try to scramble to help out, but it's just not sufficient. In fact, the treasurer's office had a meltdown last week because she took 2 days off. So this is showing that as of the end of August, we're well ahead in revenue. We've got 25% of the year left. Our total expenses, we are less than half of our total expenses for the year on the next page. And then the 3rd page is where we're at in salaries, where I think it's about, we're at 58% of the budget in salaries for this year. So I'm requesting a full-time employee to replace Katie, who left. And he or she would be the lead on all elections, and then the backup recorder, and properly trained, not kind of piecemeal the way we've been doing it.
You said election,
No, go
you
ahead.
said election leads, presumably just given the reality of like posting and hiring, this person probably wouldn't be here in time for this year's
No.
election cycle, right? So we still would be looking at the TPS, Simonton,
Right.
support.
Absolutely.
But then hopefully by like, you know, in a year from now, be in a position to be able to handle more of that in-house or.
Hopefully
yeah.
they'd be here to observe this year's election.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know, and we don't see it so much in this county, but there's a big ramp up on make sure you do everything exactly right for the 2024 election, because there's gonna be huge eyeballs watching.
Yeah.
And we wanna make sure we're clean and transparent and fair.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You mentioned a couple things about cross-training, I think, I hope. I'm wondering if we can ask you for some things as well, as far as, how that affects the other offices with Cindy gone and nobody else. I'm not sure.
It's not Cindy, it's Vera, recording deputy.
Okay, with anyone else gone and how that, I don't know if you quite understand how that backs up the assessors and the
Oh,
other
definitely, I mean,
offices for.
that's why I'm saying we need somebody we can properly train and, you know, we have a very generous leave policy. And up to this point, Vera has not taken a full vacation. And I'm dreading, I don't wanna say you can't, but I'm dreading when she leaves, because then we're all just scrambling to make sure everything gets handled properly.
And no one currently in the office can be cross-trained? No one currently in the office can be cross-trained?
They're
for
training.
recording?
The two new employees are simply training on what they've done. They've completed their election training, so they are cross-trained for election. Their driver's license check, if Vera goes on vacation, do we close the driver's license office so she can do recording? I mean, it is a full-time job what Vera's doing. It's not, I mean, she's not sitting there twiddling her thumbs, she's working. The motor vehicle, perhaps, but again, if we don't have a dedicated person and she's out, she has small children, so it's just a matter of consistency. And it just brings us back up to staffing level last year.
Mhm.
And I've also included it in next year's budget request.
Will a full-time person also help keep office hours open through lunchtime?
That's possible. It would make it a lot easier.
What, yeah, why, we haven't chatted about that, why has that not been,
We can't leave somebody alone in the office.
can you shift schedules so that at least two people are in there for lunchtime?
Not
That's a
right
big
now we
thing.
can, because right now in motor vehicle, all we have are two people. So either,
I don't
They're left
understand how the
alone.
motor vehicle,
yeah,
like, staffing is,
either they're left
incorporated
alone, which we try not to leave anybody alone. It just doesn't feel safe sometimes.
okay.
Can you talk to us about the training that we have had for the recording clerk previously? Like, with hiring or adding in an additional person, would you bring Andrea back or the recording company back to do more additional training, or?
I would bring
Was
the
there-
recording
were there-
vendor, and Andrea was able to come in and just kind of do some very basic stuff to get Vera started.
Okay,
But it was so nice of her to do that.
Yeah.
But she does have her real job.
right.
And she was not the primary recorder when she
Okay.
left, she was the backup, so she actually didn't know a lot of things. So everybody was basing what they were doing on what Crystal had written up very detailed notes, and then with the backup with Andrea,
Okay.
we were able to keep moving until Vera got fully trained.
Okay.
At this point, when Vera is gone, we actually do rely on our vendor to help us out, and they are nice enough to do that. But anything physical that comes in, then we literally call her and she walks us through everything.
And then are you fully staffed right now, or do you have vacancies open right now?
This would be,
This would be the vacancy, okay. So,
but otherwise, yes.
okay. And you did hire a driver's license clerk?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Cool.
There's, I mean, speaking of budget, like, we really need and trying to finalize the audit. I don't know if we have your account information on your Pueblo trust account. We need that for our auditor.
Oh,
If
sure.
we could get that to the
Yeah.
finance department. And I think there's been, if you could also follow reimbursement processes for travel and training or using P card.
How have I not been doing that?
I understand that there's petty cash is being used to reimburse people.
No,
That's not happening?
no.
Okay. Right,
For travel and,
okay. Is that not happening?
I haven't
Is
seen
that
any
not a
petty
concern?
cash reconciliations and I've asked for it, so
no one's asked me for it.
I sent you an email about it, I'll send you another one to remind
Great.
you.
Okay. And then if you could just continue to work with HR, I don't know if there's been,
We're working on that.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, any other questions for Tracy?
I just, really am hopeful that we can get some continuity with, if we do decide to add an additional person. Just kind of understand, like, going into 2024 budget, what the depth chart is in terms of cross-training. Because I think that that's something that the office has always seemed to struggle with, is appropriate levels of cross-training and, not causing kind of backups in the other offices, day-to-day business transactions. And so I just am hopeful that if this is something that we do decide to move forward with, that it's contingent on, you know, what that depth chart looks like and cross-training looks like, so that things can continue to happen and daily caches continue to be reconciled on time and those kinds of things. That would just be my only thing.
Having inherited the office, what makes it particularly difficult to cross-train people?
It's just been the turnover, you know.
Okay,
One person just refuses to cross-train. And, I mean, I can't force them to cross-train, I can't force them to, but, it'll be reflected in their performance review.
okay. Yeah, if you could, I mean, I understand that working with HR has been difficult or challenging, so it would be great to continue to work closely, especially as you're, working on those performance measures and having new people on and cross-training and setting expectations. And the reconciliations is really important to get very soon for the finance department with the audit.
Yeah.
And it would be great if we could tell people that you're open for lunch soon.
We tried, but like I said, when Adrian left, you can't leave somebody alone in that office, because you just don't know who's gonna come in. not fair.
Okay. Does anybody have anything else, or?
That was good.
Okay, I don't have anything else.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm willing to offer that, and also hoping that, you know, these kind of 5 particular items that came up, will be improved upon by that, so we'll look at that through the end of the year. Okay. Anybody wanna entertain a motion, or I will entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve an additional full-time staff for the clerk and recorder's office contingent on depth and cross-training planning going into the 2024 budget cycle.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion?
None for me.
I don't think so. I think we just wanna make sure that we're giving Tracy support to be able to build that depth chart and cross-training, and when we start doing those mid-year budget check-ins in 2024, that's presented back to us of the progress that's been made on that depth and cross-training.
I'm totally in line with that.
Okay.
Yeah, and please, communicate with Tim and Ally.
Sure.
Okay. Any further discussion?
None for me, thank you.
None for me.
All right, no further discussion, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Right.
Thank you.
All right, last on our items of new business, we have, we will go into executive session. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session to consider the purchase, acquisition, lease, transfer, or sale of real personal or other property pursuant to CRS 246402-4A, and to determine positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, develop a strategy for negotiations, and or instruct negotiators pursuant to CRS 246402-4E, as well as to hold conference with the county attorney to receive legal advice on specific legal questions pursuant to CRS 246402-4B.
So moved?
Second?
All right, any further discussion?
None for me, thanks.
None for me.
The manager and the attorney will be joining us. And if there's no further discussion, all those in favor? Aye.
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 All right, and we'll go into executive session at about 9:29. And we will come and grab you when we are finished, Tracy.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Man.
I got it.
Do you have the Zoom control?